Greetings aspirants, welcome to Narayana IAS. This is Karthik Moni, I am here for daily news analysis. For today's session, I have picked up 5 important articles. The first article is about improving the capacity of Indian state. This article talks about the problems in the Indian bureaucracy. And second article is about the recent increase in GDP number. And third article about India's commitment in the current COP summit. And fourth article is about UAE's commitment on climate investment fund, and fourth article is about Lalit Kela Academy. Coming to the first article, we have improving the capability of Indian state. So this article is about the bureaucracy, the problems faced by the bureaucracy. Exam point of view, in the mains examination, we can expect some direct question related to the issues with the Indian bureaucracy and also the reforms which are needed for the good governance. So direct mains question is possible. So that's why we are discussing this article. Already we had a question in 2016. So effectiveness of the government system at the various level and people's participation in the governance system are interdependent. So discuss their relationship with each other in the context of India. So similarly, we can also expect some similar question in the upcoming examination, that is possible. So moving to the context, the article highlighted the paradox of too big and yet too small. So paradox, big, small, right? So we have to know what it meant by the word big and also what it meant by the word too small. So big, yes, in terms of population, India is big, and also in terms of geography, India is big. So Weberian state is too small. So here the word Weberian state is nothing but the bureaucracy, the bureaucratic form of government, the civil servant or the public servant. It is meaning that it is small. So here it is small in terms of strength, yes, size is comparatively low, and also in terms of capacity is comparatively low. This is what the paradox meant by the word yet too small, right? So now we have to know about the number in terms of strength. Why is it small as a Weberian state? So number point of view we have to know. So when compared to the G20 nations, India, the per capita civil servant availability is comparatively low. So that is there. And also there is another comparison. So total employment in India in the public sector is 5.77% when compared to the other nations, Indonesia and China. So similar developing countries, similar nations, the share is comparatively low. So when compared to Indonesia and China, India is half the number. And apart from that, approximately 1,600 per million, the number of central government personnels. But when compared to the US, it is 7,500 in the central governments. So 3 different aspects in terms of number. So first comparison within the G20 nations, that is per capita availability of civil servants, that is one idea. And also public servant as a whole, the percentage is comparatively low. And also when it compare with the numbers of central government employee, that is low. So these are the aspects which shows that the strength of bureaucracy is comparatively low, right? So here, so apart from the issue with the strength of the bureaucracy, we have to know about the problems in the capacity as well. So here, first aspect is the Indian state is people thin but process thick. Yes, people thin, yes, size is comparatively low, whereas the process thick, it highlights the problem of red tapeism. So because of increased procedures, the efficacy of the governance is getting affected. So this is the first problem. The second problem is inadequate state capability. This leads to the outsourcing of important services. For example, services, social services such as education, primary health, those aspects, it is the responsibility of the state to provide such services to the citizen. But here, because of the inadequate capability of the state, they are outsourcing those important essential services. So that is there. And apart from that, there is a huge skill gap among the officials. And also we have to highlight that there is an extreme concentration of policy making and implementation. This is problematic because if we are combining both the aspects, the implementation will not be there. Specialization in the policy dimension is not possible because of such convergence. So that is there. And finally, poor delegation of work. So because of the increased mistrust and lack of accountability, the delegation of the proper delegation of the work is not happening. So this will lead to the overburdening of the work in some stages. So this will affect the overall efficacy of the bureaucracy. And apart from that, lack of technocratic skill. So here there is a report that the central government paid over 500 crore in the last 5 years to get the service of consultancy. So look at the number 500 crore, which means there is a sheer lack of technocratic skill among the civil servants. So apart from that, the problem with the existing audit report, so narrow scoped audit system. So this is problematic because as of now we are concentrating only on whether the compliance to the particular policy is happening or not. Only those aspects we are concentrating. So larger outcome, larger efficacy of the policy making itself we are not concentrating. This narrow-minded approach will reduce the actual benefits reaching the people. Finally, there is a problem with the oversight agencies. So agencies such as CVC, CBI, even the judiciary. So here they are evaluating the actions of the civil servant in a parochial or limited perspective. So because of this reason, there is an aversion among the civil servants to use the discretionary power. So this will reduce the efficacy of the civil service at the larger point of view. Apart from that, we have to know about a few other problems such as appointment of retired officers to the regulatory bodies and tribunals. So here there is a possibility of political manipulation and influences. So which means the nexus, there is a possibility of nexus will be there, which means the desired outcome will not be there. And finally, the substantial salary. So when compared to the private sector wages, the wages in the public sector is comparatively very high. So this situation will lead the people to do in corruption to get into the public service. This breeds the corruption in the appointment of public services. So now we have to think from the perspective of measures to address the existing problem. So first one is separation of policy making and the implementation. So here we have to highlight an example of National Highway Authority of India. So here the policy making will be done by the ministry, and then this National Highway Authority of India will work only on the implementation, so that this institution can concentrate on increasing the efficiency of implementation. The second aspect is delegation. So as of now, the proper delegation is not happening, and especially, so we have to, in terms of financial aspect and also administrative aspects, we have to delegate the power to the frontline officers. So they only know the actual demand of the people. So if you are delegating those financial as well as administrative powers, the effective service delivery is possible. So next we have to think about the lateral entry in the mid and senior level. So by using this lateral entry, we can bring more expertise into the spectrum. So that is possible. And also we have to think from the perspective that the qualified officers in non-IAS services such as IRS, revenue services officers has to be given opportunity for high level positions. And apart from that, like we have to think from the perspective of training. The civil servants should be given proper subject specific training under Mission Karma Yogi. So this is very important because upskilling is very important to improve to sustain the efficacy of service delivery. So next, augmenting the strength of the professionals, especially for the market watchdogs such as SEBI and RBI. So especially RBI, as of now we are having only 7,000 public servant, whereas when we compare the same with the US, the Federal Bank is having 22,000 resources. So comparatively very low. So here we have to increase the strength and capacity of the such regulatory bodies. And apart from that, oversight agencies has to be sensitized to appreciate the context of the policy decisions. Then only the bureaucrats, the civil servants will use their discretion power for the service delivery. And also we can increase the retirement age to 65, and also we can make this as an absolute upper limit for all appointments to reduce the problem of number. Next, we have an article, the GDP growth surprise. So exam point of view, we can expect some prelims question related to the concepts such as real GDP and nominal GDP, and also we can expect some mains questions related to concerns regarding the growth sustenance. So previously we had a question. In 2017, there was a question related to the performance of the industrial growth and its relation with the GDP. So that was a question asked in 2017. And apart from that, there was another question in 2019. So in that, they wanted us to give an argument that the relation between the steady GDP growth and low inflation led to the economic performance of the economy, led to the economic performance of the India. So that was the question asked in 2019. We are also expecting similar question in the upcoming examination. Coming to the context, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has released the economic growth data of the second quarter for the financial year 2023 to 24. So from this data, we came to know that the real GDP, so look at the word real GDP, in the quarter is 7.6%, and it is more than the previous year. So when compared to 2022-23, the number of 2023-24 is high. So this is the idea given in the report. So here we have to know about the difference of the real GDP and the nominal GDP. So nominal GDP, the number is calculated based on the current prices, whereas real GDP, we are calculating the number based on the constant price. So which means we are adjusting the number by using the inflation. So if we are reducing the influence of the inflation from the current numbers, then it is what we call it as real GDP. So we have to know about what is meant by real GDP, and then we have to know about what is meant by nominal GDP, right? So now getting into the numbers, yes, 7.6% second quarter of 23-24, and also we have to relate this number with the previous year. So this is 6.2. So 6.2% of the second quarter of the previous year, that is 22-23. So yes, there is a significant rise. So from 6.2% to 7.8%. So this is perceptible. Second, we have to know about the performance of 23-24 of first quarter and the second quarter. So look at the number. Yes, second quarter we know that is 7.6%, whereas the performance of the first quarter is comparatively high, that is 7.8%. So as a conclusion, so when compared to the second quarter of the previous year, this year it is performing good. So that is the first insight. Second insight is that when compared to the first quarter of this financial year, there is a slight reduction, 7.8 to 7.6. But still we are celebrating, so that we have to know why. So this is the idea. So RBI projected that the growth rate in the second quarter will be comparatively low. So when compared to the RBI projection, the current growth rate is comparatively high. So that's why we are celebrating, even though when it is low when compared to the first quarter. So we are celebrating because it is higher than the RBI's projection. So that is the first idea. Second idea is that the growth is higher amidst tight monetary policy. So cost of borrowing is high. So recently the RBI came up with the high interest rate, which means the cost of borrowing is comparatively high, which means the supply of money in the market is comparatively low. So amidst all those tight monetary policies, the performance is comparatively high. That we have to highlight. That is the second point. And third thing, so because of this performance in the second quarter, there is a possibility that RBI can revise the overall projection, the forecast of the entire year to the uptrend. That is a possibility. So three aspects. So apart from that, we have to know that the GVA value is also at a 7.4%. So here we have to know the difference between GDP versus GVA. So here both GDP as well as GVA is an example, is an instrument of measure of economic growth. But the difference is that GDP is a measure of economic growth by considering the expenditure. Whereas GVA, here we are measuring the economic growth by using the production. So that is the difference. So GDP by expenditure method, whereas GVA, here we are considering or we are measuring the growth by using the production methods. So that is the difference. So here both GVA, so both GVA and GDP are more or less similar. GVA is 7.4%, whereas GDP is 7.6%. So finally, we have to highlight one more fact. So when compared to the 2019, that is pre-industrial level, now only we are gaining momentum in the economic growth. So that too, we have to see it from the absolute number. Yes, when it comes to the percentages, we are performing good. The rate of increase, the growth percentage is performing good. But when it comes to the absolute number, now only the total value, the absolute number is reaching the pre-pandemic level, which means the economic growth is getting some more momentum. So this is one more valuable insight that we have to know. So first thing, the growth is more than the projected one, and also the growth which we received that happened in the tight monetary policy. So and also we have to highlight that GDP number and GVA number is more or less same. And also finally we have to know that the absolute number is reaching to the pre-pandemic level. So these are the ideas as a significance we have to know. Apart from that, we have to know about the concerns. The first one is the calculation of real GDP. So in the context slide itself, I highlighted that. So this number, that 7.6% growth is nothing but the value of real GDP, the percentage of growth in terms of real GDP. So we know that we are having two concepts, nominal GDP and also we have real GDP. So we have two things. So here we are adjusting these two by using inflation, right? So in the inflation also we have two different indexes. One is WPI, another one is CPI. So WPI is nothing but the inflation when we are considering from the wholesale price, whereas CPI is about the final consumption price, right? Apart from that, WPI includes only the goods, whereas CPI includes goods as well as services, right? And apart from that, we have to know one more thing. As of now, the WPI is in the negative trend. So here, the calculation of real GDP number, we are doing it by using the WPI. So one is, it is not comprehensive in nature, that is one thing. And also, as of now, the performance of WPI is in the negative trend. And because of this influence, we are able to see the high growth rate in the real GDP numbers. So which means the real perspective of the economic growth is not measured properly. So that is the concern, first problem. A second and most important concern is the nominal GDP is below 10%, and also this reduction in nominal GDP will affect the debt servicing and deficit management targets of governments. So this we have to know how. The first aspect is we have to know about the importance of difference between real and nominal GDP. So the difference between the real GDP and nominal GDP is very important. Why? Because the sustainable inflation is important. For economic growth, we should have some sustainable inflation. That's why we kept the number, 2 to 4 is optimum number. That number has to be there. So inflation is inevitable thing. So that is very much important, right? So here, because of the reduction in the nominal GDP. So consider that. So this is the nominal GDP and this is the real GDP, right? So here the nominal GDP is getting reduced. The level came here, the nominal GDP came here, so that the difference between the nominal GDP and the real GDP will get reduced, which means the effect of inflation, the sustainable level of inflation is getting affected. First point. Second thing, we have to know about the relation between the sustainable inflation and the indirect tax. So only when we are having the sustainable inflation, then only we can able to get more indirect tax revenue. So optimum level of sustainable inflation is very much necessary for increasing the indirect tax revenue. So second aspect. So now we have to relate with the tax revenue to the debt management, right? So here only if you are able to secure more indirect tax revenue, then only we can able to pay the debt, right? Either principal or interest. If you are not able to get the or able to generate revenue from the tax, that is indirect tax, then there is a possibility that the government will be in a position to borrow. So which means it will affect the fiscal deficit target of the government, right? So here we have to know about why the difference between nominal GDP and real GDP is important, why there is a need for sustainable inflation, and also we have to know about what is the relation between sustainable inflation and the indirect tax revenue, and finally we have to relate with the indirect tax revenue and debt repayment, and finally how all these aspects will affect the fiscal deficit target, that we have to know. So here there is a concern, nominal GDP is reducing, which means the sustainable inflation is getting affected, that we have to know, that is a concern. And apart from that, there is a table in the article. So here we have to highlight few things. The first thing is performance of the agriculture. So performance of the agriculture is very important. So here I want to compare between 2019 number as well as 2023 number. So pre-COVID number as well as the current number. So pre-pandemic level it is 5.32%, whereas currently the number is 1.22%. So there is a drastic reduction in the performance of the agriculture and agricultural allied sectors. So that is the first problem. So first problem. And second problem is that the performance of the service sector. So 7.43 to 5.8. So there is a huge inconsistency in the performance of the service sector. That is also a problem. So 7.43% to 5.8%, right? And also industry, okay, minus 2.14% to 13.18%. So here it is okay. Yes, we are the current increase in GDP growth number is also because of the performance of the manufacturing sector. Yes, that is right. But the problem is that this increase is because of the base effect, which means during the pre-pandemic time also the performance of the manufacturing sector is comparatively low, very low, and because of this reason now we are able to see the rise, which means actual improvement is not happening. So when compared to the pre-pandemic level, it is performing well. Relatively it is performing well. So that insights we have to know. So all the aspects, agriculture aspect, industry aspect and service aspect also, we are in the trouble, that we have to highlight here, right? And apart from that, one more fact is that why there is an issue with the agricultural performance. Here it is, we have to relate with so consumption is comparatively low in the rural area. The demand for consumption in the rural area is comparatively low. So that is the reason why we are experiencing the problem of low growth rate in the agricultural sector. So in order to fix this problem, we need to sustain or we have to improve the demands of the rural economy. The consumption has to be increased. Government have to take extra efforts to increase the consumption in the rural area. That should be the first aspect. And second aspect, yes, currently we are performing well in the manufacturing sector, and we have to sustain this performance in the upcoming quarters as well. Then only we can able to sustain the increase in GDP. So those things we have to work. Then only India can able to sustain the economic growth. Next we have an article, India offers to host 2028 climate meet. So exam point of view, we can expect some direct conceptual questions in the prelims examination, such as green credit, and carbon offset. So that is possible. So context of the article, recently the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is attending the COP28 summit. So in that there are few things that has to be highlighted. The first one is India refrained from new commitments. Previously in Glasgow summit, India came up with new updated NDC commitment. Such commitment or updation in the commitment was not there in the current COP28. And apart from that, India offered to host 33rd edition of COP in India in 2028. And also the Prime Minister emphasized the need for developed nations to vacate the carbon space before 2050. India itself committed to attain zero carbon emission by 2070. So Prime Minister highlighted that the developed nation have to prepone before 2050. So that is there. And finally, India came up with an innovative approach or innovative initiative called Green Credits Program. So in the context of this article, we are going to discuss about the details of Green Credit Program in detail. So coming to the definition point, it is a program aimed to create non-commercial carbon sink by creating a credit-based mechanism to reward, encourage nations, communities and individuals. So here we have to know that it is non-commercial in nature, which means the economical aspect is not important. Here we are doing or promoting this initiative for the environmental aspiration. That is the first idea. Second aspect, here the initiative involves creation of carbon sink. So that is the second idea. So it will promote the afforestation measures, reforestation measures. In this aspect, it will create carbon sink. So that is the second dimension. Third dimension, it will come up with the credit mechanism. So similar to the carbon credit mechanism, this initiative wanted to come up with the green credit initiative. How it is different from carbon credit initiative is, for example, in the carbon credits, if a country was allowed to emit 100 units of carbon dioxide, then if a country is reducing its emission of 20 units, then this 20 units can be considered as carbon credits. So this carbon credit can be transferred to other nations and also it can be monetized. So this is what we meant by the word carbon credit. Here for example, we will take the example that initially they are depending on fossil fuel for the energy production. Consider that. So here instead of 100 units, if they are producing 20 units of energy through solar, which means the emission of 20 unit is getting reduced. So the reduction in the carbon emission is getting monetized in the form of carbon credits. This is what we call it as carbon credit. Here there is a change. So here instead of solar as climate or carbon related initiatives, here we are taking green initiatives, which means reforestation or afforestation. So here we are promoting climate intervention or we are creating credit by increasing the green cover, increasing the carbon sink. So that is the reason why we are using the word green credit. So even though it is similar to carbon credit, here we are using the word green because we are considering the aspects of increasing the green cover on one side, one aspiration, sustainable development, ecology aspect, and also climate aspect, that is carbon reduction by increasing the carbon sink. So that's why we are using the word green credit, right? So now we have to know about the purpose. Yes, so it is a broader objective rather than concentrating only on limiting the carbon emission. Here we are using the bringing the aspiration of environment of increasing the green cover. So it is the broader term than carbon credit systems. So that is the objective. So second aspect, it is also important because it is an incentivization system. So because of the countries can get money out of this intervention of this measure, and because of this reason it increases the participation of the nation. So by creating incentivization mechanism, this initiative is highly significant. Apart from that, it is significant because it is expanding the beneficiary. So apart from the nations, we can also think from the perspectives of corporates and also NGOs and also individuals. So not only the nation, this concept can also incentivize the private players. So private players participation is very much important when it comes to the climate mitigation. So here this mechanism give scope for private partnership, and also there is a possibility of corporate social responsibility integration. So that is also possible. Apart from that, this is significant in terms of global outreach. So the Prime Minister is actively seeking for creating such green credit mechanism across the globe, so that the global participation will be there, the market for such green credit will be there, and in this aspect we can achieve the twin objectives of ecological restoration as well as the climate change. So now we have to know about the challenges. So methodologies and standards for measuring, verifying and trading these credits are very much important. Then only we can create the market for green credit. So assessment and measurement and the aspects of trading has to be taken care while creating such initiatives. Next, we have an article related to the climate investments. Exam point of view, we can expect questions related to climate finance, and also the direct question from the ULTRA, the climate investment fund, and also we can expect some questions related to other climate funds under UNFCCC. So these are the possible areas we can expect questions in the upcoming examination. So context of this article, recently the COP28 is happening in the United Arab Emirates. So in the summit, the UAE, the host nation, committed a fund, the climate investment fund named ULTRA. So this is the context of this article. So from this context, we have to know about the basic details of the particular fund, and also what are the objectives, and also what exactly the fund wanted to do. So those things we have to know. So coming to the basics, it committed $30 billion in the initial phase, and also it is managed privately. So this is very important, it is managed privately. So other funds work under the aegis of UNFCCC itself. So this one, it is managed by the private players. And apart from that, the objective is larger in nature. So apart from the climate related initiatives, this fund wanted to take some sustainable development measures. So comprehensive picture of environmental conservation is came into picture. So objective of this fund is more, and also it is comprehensive in nature. Apart from that, the main aim of this initiative is to mobilize $250 billion globally by 2030. So these are the basic idea behind this climate investment fund. Apart from that, we have to know about the main objective. So as of now, we are facing a problem in terms of climate finance. So we committed to have $100 billion every year from 2021 onwards. So that itself, we are facing trouble in order to meet that $100 billion. So we are not getting that much amount. So in order to bridge this gap, because by 2030, we will be in a position, globally, we will be in a position to mobilize $2.4 trillion annually. So look at the number, $2.4 trillion. So it's huge. So in order to fill this gap, UAE came up with an initiative. Right? So this is the larger objective of having such intervention. So apart from that, we have to know about the prospects of this investment fund. And here they wanted to concentrate on 4 major areas. One is energy transition, then industrial decarbonization, and then sustainable living, and also climate technologies. First aspect is energy transition, because we are relying more on fossil fuels. So this is the problem. Not only India, globally, the reliance, the dependence on fossil fuels are comparatively high. So this climate investment fund will help or will aid to make the transition, energy transition from fossil fuel dependence to cleaner energy. So that is the first prime important prospect of this initiative. Second aspect is industrial decarbonization. So industry is more dependent on fossil fuel. So in the larger objective of energy transition, So they wanted to concentrate on industrial decarbonization because industries are more dependent on fossil fuels, and also the industrial decarbonization is very easy when compared to other aspects. In terms of transportation, like the conversion is little difficult, so they wanted to work on the industrial decarbonization. So here, these two objectives, along with these two objectives, they wanted to work on the aspects of sustainable living by creating more awareness, and finally they wanted to work on the climate related technologies. So climate related technologies and increasing the resources, or increasing the fund to increase the research on climate related technology is very much important, because this energy transition or the larger dimension of climate change, mitigating the climate change or adaptation to the climate change, needs such climate technologies, right? Apart from that, we have to know about the significance. So here it is very significant because it is attracting the private capital. So role of private players in the climate related interventions is very important, because the government alone or nation alone is not enough. The intervention from the nation alone is not enough. We need, for the climate mitigation or climate related interventions, we need the participation of every stakeholders, state, private individuals, organizations, NGOs, and also individuals. Everyone, every stakeholder have to participate to contain the problem of greater global climate change, right? So here it used to attract the private capital. So this is highly important. So even this $30 billion, and the fund is established by the Lunatin, an independent global investment manager. So that is there. And apart from that, this current commitment of $30 billion shows that UAE is showing more commitment on climate related interventions. So this is also one of the significance. Apart from that, we have to know about the initiatives committed. So under this ULTRA, the Climate Investment Fund, a portion of fund is allocated for the development of over 6 gigawatt of new clean energy capacity in India. So India will be getting benefited because of this fund. So India will be getting funds to create infrastructure to generate new clean energy of 6 gigawatt. So within that, the greater commitment, we will also be having the commitment of creating 120 megawatt capacity of wind as well as solar projects before 2025. So next we have an article, a life boat called Arch. So exam point of view, we are discussing this article because we can expect some questions related to the institutions such as Lalit Kala Academy. So apart from that, we are having 2 other academies such as Sangeet Natak Academy, and also we are having Sahitya Academy for the literature, right? So we can expect some questions related to the institutions. Previously there was a question in the art and culture. So what makes Indian society unique in sustaining its culture? Discuss. So here, even though this question is generic in nature, we have to relate the role of institutions in sustaining the India's unique culture. So that we have to highlight, so that the institutions are very much important. So prelims point also we have to learn those institutions, and also mains point of view as a justification we can relate those institutions for the mains examination. So coming to the context, in the article, the author highlighted that Lalit Kala Academy, the performance of the Lalit Kala Academy is very good, and it is the performance of the institution is sustainable enough even during the tough terms such as the economical downturn, global pandemic. During those occasions also, the academy is performing well in supporting the artisans, and also to promote the Indian art. So this is the context of this article. So from this context, we have to know about the institution and its performance and its problems. So Lalit Kala Academy, inaugurated by Maulana Abul Kalam Azad in New Delhi in 1954. And this institution was registered as a society under Societies Registration Act 1816 in 1957. So apart from that, we have to know that it is an autonomous organization under Ministry of Culture, and also it is having 6 regional center in Chennai, Kolkata, Lucknow, Shimla, Shillong and Bhubaneswar. So 6 regional centers. Apart from that, this institution used to conduct exhibitions such as National Exhibition of Art and also International Triennial of India. So these are some of the basic information about the Lalit Kala Academy. So those details are also there in the India Yearbook. So while learning India Yearbook, we have to give more importance to such institutions, right? So next we have to know about the objectives. So here the institution promote the art by encouraging the study and researches in the creative arts. So here they will be giving scholarship, there will be fellowship programs will be there, and also giving medals and also giving financial incentives. It encourages the study and research in the creative field of art, right? So here the institution is promoting the art by encouraging the research. Second is that it promotes the art by coordinating the regional art groups. So already we came to know that we used to have 6 regional centers. Apart from that, it used to create coordination among the other private institutions which are promoting art and architecture. So in this aspect, it is promoting the fine arts, and apart from that, it is promoting the art by exchange of ideas. So here they will conduct conferences, they will conduct seminar and also exhibitions. So here the value addition is happening through one aspect, the research and the study purpose, the learning will be there in the aspects of art, and also the awareness creation will also be there. So in the both these aspects, conducting such events such as seminars, conferences and exhibitions, this particular institution is promoting the art. And also by publishing and promoting art related literature, so including monographs, journals and other yearly publications, the institution is promoting art. So last thing to highlight is inclusive approach. So not only the elite artists, so it also support the folk and tribal artists. So by doing so, it helps to maintain the diversity of, it wanted to support the existing diversity of Indian culture. So next we have to know about the challenges. So in the digital era, we have to highlight 2 things. So there is a possibility of seamless reproduction and manipulation of images will be there. So in this aspect, the authentication of the original artwork will become difficult. The process itself become complex because the technological advancement is in such a way that it cannot able to, we will not be in a position to differentiate between these two. So that is the first problem. Second problem, this will also be there in the process of pattern. So here the pattern, because deepfake technologies or other artificial intelligence technologies competent enough to create or manipulate the original work. So because of this aspect, the patent, the giving patent will get affected. So if patent is not there, creative, the incentivization for creative work will not be there. So that it will affect the promotion of art in the Indian culture. So that will be there. And also funding constraints are there. So institutions' ability to organize more exhibitions and seminar is affected because of the fund. And also we have to know about the role of modernization. So because of increased modernization, because of urbanization, there is a very less interest on art. So because of this, the sustenance of the art will get affected. So that we have to understood. And finally, the expanding research and accessibility. So even though the academy is making many effort, taking more effort to increases the reach of this particular art through many platforms, still it is inadequate. So those are the challenges faced by the Lalit Kala Academy. Coming to the way forward, so we have to embrace the technology. We can't escape from the technology. We have to take the good side of the technology. So technology is is having the competence to preserve, promote and disseminate the Indian art. So especially we can use the virtual reality technique and also artificial intelligence technology for such art promotion. And apart from that, we have to strengthen the collaboration. Yes, existing institutional mechanism is facilitating for such collaboration, but that is not at all enough. So we have to strengthen the collaboration within India as also internationally, so that the share of expertise will be there and also resources will be there, and also we can able to share the best practices from the other nations. So that is also possible. And apart from that, the engage in advocacy and public awareness. So awareness is very important, because only when we are sensitizing the youths about the Indian art, then only we can able to sustain, we can able to pull the talents from the active youth population. Let's try some of the prelims practice question. So here there is a match the following question. So carbon credits, so it is a financial incentive or certificate earned for reducing the carbon emission used in the emission trading system. Yes, this is correct. Carbon offset, it is a tradable certificates earned by the implementation actions that reduce the greenhouse gas emission. Yes, this is also correct. Green credit, these are tradable certificates generated through environmental positive actions like afforestation for regeneration. This is also correct. So all three pairs are correct. So option is C, all three. Yes, it is correct. So second question, consider the following statement with reference to Lalit Kala Academy. So it is an autonomous organization, yes, under Ministry of Culture. This is also correct. It is headquartered in New Delhi. Yes, it is also correct. So which of the above statement is or correct? Both the statements. Option is C. Yes, option is C. Third prelims question. The gross value addition of agriculture and the allied sector has gradually declined over last 5 years. Yes, it is true. GDP deflator in India is weighted average of WPI and CPI. No, CPI will not be there. In order to calculate the real GDP, we are using WPI. So second statement is wrong. So which of the above statement is or incorrect? So option is 2. Yes, option is B. Next, let's try one mains question. So it is argued that underperformance of the Indian bureaucracy is not due to lack of capacity or structural deficiency, but on the account of lower strength per capita. Critically analyze. Here, we want to do the critical analysis, that is in-depth analysis is what needed. So here, we have to go against the statement. So the statement itself designed in such a way that, so only the number is matter, not the capacity. So that is what given in the statement. So in the intro itself, try to give idea that it is not because of only the number, because of both capacity and the strength. The number is an issue. Try to introduce the answer with the statement, the stand which we are taking. So it is not because or only because of the reduction in the number, it is because of both capacity and the strength. So we can start with this introduction, and then in the body parts, give the justification. So here what we can tell that in the strength aspect, we can give the numbers that the per capita availability of the number, per capita civil servants availability is comparatively low, and also overall public sector is only 5.77%. So those numbers you can use to justify the number point of view. On the other hand, we can give the idea of lack of capacity, lack of lateral entry possibility, the skill gap in the skill, and also we can match the problem of corruption, and also we can match the problem of red tape. So body part, try to give a balanced approach to both number as well as strength. And finally, as a conclusion, what we can do is, we can tell them that the government have to take rapid measures to address both the problem of capacity as well as the number. So those things are, those perspectives can be given as a conclusion. So that's the end of the discussion. Thank you all. Do like, share and subscribe the video, and also don't forget to subscribe the channel.